Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone, from wherever you are watching. I'm Michael Bira, and I'm the Senior Manager within the Customer Care Practice here at EDCI. Today's topic revolves around employee engagement and how COVID has affected the contact center when it comes to keeping your agents engaged and performing at a high level, even if they're working remotely. Just one quick housekeeping note before we get going. If you have any questions during the presentation, please enter them in the Q&A section, and we'll get to them at the end. So just think, a little more than a year ago, before any of us had ever heard of COVID-19, we were all busy managing our respective contact centers and concentrating on monitoring our agents and making sure that they meet their goals. We met with them in calibration sessions that were actually in person and to help them become better agents. We recorded calls, we came up with creative contests to incent our agents to compete against other agents, to excel, and to help them achieve more. We all had our own ways and routines for dealing with our agents and how their performance with answering interactions affected the statistics on how well we were doing. As contact center leaders, we executed quality programs, workforce management initiatives, contests, statistical analysis each and every day in order to meet our customer demands. We were clearly focused on our customers. Then March of 2020 happened, and we were all introduced to the COVID-19 pandemic. Within a very short period of time, we were all forced to work from home. Leaders, agents, quality managers, schedulers, everyone had to pick up their jobs from their offices and their desks and move it to the kitchen table in our homes. We all fought through the many issues of now being at home 100% of the time. When you think about it, it really was a true business continuity exercise for sure for all of us. However, none of us ever thought, though, or planned on ever having to deal with something like a pandemic in our lifetimes. The pandemic, though, has brought to light a number of issues that we all had to find our individual ways through. From getting connected to the office, and hopefully that was at speeds faster than an old dial-up connection, to how we can actually securely deliver calls, emails, and chats to agents at home. In a lot of cases, we had to rethink on how we do what we did at the office on a daily basis to how do we do it remotely from our homes where we can't talk to fellow employees face to face. For all of us, this was a huge paradigm shift on how our agents and how we as leaders all do our jobs to meet our customer demands. And to compound all that, our customers started calling and emailing and chatting with us even more than ever as the pandemic set in. A lot of companies struggle with agents becoming sick and not being available to handle those customer contacts. Unfortunately, this wasn't just for a day or two like before the pandemic, but in some cases, agents were out for weeks as they and or their family members battled the virus. Well, fast forward to today, and we find that approximately 74% of the companies today are still planning to keep their employees remote permanently. Even after the pandemic, we are learning that providing a great customer experience is paramount to customer satisfaction and, more importantly, customer retention. That's something that we always knew before the pandemic, but now it seems like it really hits home for all of us. What we also learned was that our diminishing workforce was also critical because they are the ones providing that great customer experience. And if they weren't happy, it translated into a negative customer experience, which could mean a loss of a customer for good. The emphasis on employee experience is more critical today than it ever has been. Our employees shape our customers' experience on a daily basis, and our employees' need tools in their tool belts to continue to provide that exceptional customer experience day in and day out, regardless of whether they sit in a physical contact center amongst other agents, or if they are sitting at home at their kitchen table working independently. Over the years, we've been used to thinking about innovation as something that is needed for our customers only. But we need to now also think and realize that innovation is necessary for our agents as well. We need to anticipate the needs of our agents, both technical and personal, wherever they might be working from. Over the years, we've been used to thinking about innovation as something that is needed for our customers only. But we need to now also think and realize that innovation is necessary for our agents as well. We need to anticipate the needs of our agents, both technical and personal, from wherever they might be working from. Solutions that we implement can't focus solely on our customers any longer. To deliver that exceptional customer experience that we all desire, we must provide employees with technology and resources to reach out and connect with our customers in a more personal level, where things like empathy and understanding become the real differentiators. For some of us, this realization has already set in and has put us on a path to try and quickly come up with solutions for questions like, what am I going to do if half my staff is sick tomorrow? How can I effectively monitor my agents if I can't physically see them? How am I going to train new agents if I can't bring them into the office? How are we going to handle 100% increase in our typical call or email or chat volumes tomorrow? I'm sure these are just some of the many questions that a lot of us have had to deal with in an attempt to find solutions for over the past year or so because of the pandemic. So what can we as leaders do about all this? Well, one of the first things you can do is increase your connections with your agents. A simple thing to implement for this is just scheduling one-on-one time with each of your agents. I know many of us do that already, but realize that this dedicated time away from the hectic pace of the phones gives them the opportunity to let you know how they are doing, to voice their opinions, their concerns, the challenges that they face to do their job from their homes, or even what's going on in their personal lives. All these things can affect the performance and how they answer calls and emails and chats, and thus not allowing them to consistently perform at a high level and give that great customer experience. This time also gives you, the leader, dedicated time to listen to them, to show them empathy, and to set an example of how they can provide empathy to your customers. You can also take this time to encourage them and mentor them on how to deal with everyday issues as well. Sometimes just letting your agents know that they are not a number, but instead a vital part in the success of your company goes a long way to developing loyalty and dedication in your staff. The next area I would like to encourage you to take a look at to keep your agents performing at a high level is in the area of sharing information between agents and how information is shared between the different channels agents interact with customers on. In the pre-pandemic world, most of us leaders were trained and ingrained with the notion that we must eliminate unproductive agent time and discourage the behavior of having unproductive water cooler discussions. After all, our agents are getting paid to be in their seats and answer those customer interactions. That old school way of thinking, though, never took into consideration that someday all of us would be working from home, separated from one another every day. Now, I'm not suggesting that we allow our agents to just pick up the phone and call each other to chit-chat and waste time, but instead understand that information sharing between our agents is an important aspect of how our agents can do their jobs better. Providing simple tools for agents to communicate and collaborate with each other is now a necessity when you consider that your workforce is more than likely going to be remote from here on out. Tools that provide the ability for agents to chat with each other will allow them to ask questions of the peers when they encounter a difficult question from your customer. It also provides a quick way for them to escalate a customer issue to a supervisor or manager when needed. The second part of information sharing that I encourage you to examine is how you share information between the different ways that your customers communicate within your company. In the past, as we all know, that method was a phone call. However, nowadays, there's a lot more ways that customers can communicate with your company. Emails, chats, social media, text messages, etc. In a lot of contact centers, you have dedicated teams that handle calls, dedicated teams that handle emails and or chats, and so on. The challenge today is how do we ensure that the folks handling calls have the same information that the folks handling the other interaction types have, and vice versa. After all, the likelihood today of receiving the same question via email or chat or text message is the same as getting asked that same question on the phone. A simple solution for this would be to develop and deploy a simple knowledge base that all agents can share regardless of what team they are on or what interaction type that they handle, and can easily be accessible regardless of where that agent sits. At their kitchen table, at a Starbucks, in the contact center building itself. In the past, a lot of companies never thought about having the different teams use one central repository of information. A lot of companies would deploy multiple solutions, one for each type of interaction in some cases. And of course, most companies never had to consider allowing agents to access this information from outside the walls of your contact center building. However, today, there are no technical reasons to continue to deploy multiple disparate solutions or to not allow remote access to that information for agents from wherever they may be sitting at the time. Another area where I would encourage you to look for opportunities to help your agents to perform better are mobile tools. As much as some of us would hate to admit it, but our smartphones have become a very essential part of our lives. Overall, many of us spend 5 to 6 hours a day on our smartphones doing one thing or another. And for those younger generations of individuals like the Gen Zs and millennials, that number is even higher. And even more so, their reliance on their smartphones for their daily lives is even greater. As leaders, we must understand that researchers are predicting that by the year 2025, close to 75% of our contact center workforce will be Gen Zs and millennials. So we really need to keep them in mind as we build out solutions. To build and maintain an engaged and productive workforce, we need to provide tools for our staff that are flexible based on their lifestyles, but yet still provides and allows agents to adhere to schedules and remain compliant with their work requirements. However, some of the younger generation folks can grow frustrated at what they feel are obsolete processes if those tools don't accommodate their lifestyle needs. Allowing agents and contact center staff to manage their schedules and communicate with supervisors through mobile applications is key. It minimizes the time and effort to complete these types of tasks since they no longer have to have a desktop to log into just to submit a request. Implementing such solutions empowers employees to make decisions on how to manage their time and provides a more balanced work-home life for your agents. The last area that I would like to touch on today is the topic of artificial intelligence, or AI, and some of the ways that you can leverage this new technology to ensure your staff are performing at a high level and providing a great customer experience. AI in the contact center world has seen a tremendous growth over the last year in both the interest in AI overall, but as well as deployments of AI due to the pandemic. One of the questions I mentioned earlier was, what am I going to do if half of my staff calls in sick tomorrow? And over the past year, because of the pandemic, this has been a very real question for a number of contact center leaders across the world to have to deal with each and every day. For those of you that may be dealing with that situation, please note that there is AI technology that exists today to help you with that very question. Voice and chatbots are quickly becoming mainstream for all sizes of contact centers, not just the biggest centers out there. They are becoming more and more simpler and cheaper to develop and deploy. The advances in NLU, or natural language understanding, and for those of you that don't know that term or haven't heard of NLU yet, think of it as speech recognition on steroids. NLU has allowed companies to deploy virtual agents that can handle a multitude of question types, all without customers realizing that they're not even talking to a human. This has allowed companies to not only provide an answer to their potential diminishing workforce issue, but has also allowed companies to provide new self-service options to their customers in ways that they have never been done before. Not that it is all well and good. Now that is all well and good, but remember, we are talking about things from an employee perspective today. So how do we leverage AI for employees? Well, remember earlier I had mentioned about developing and deploying a central repository or knowledge base for agents to use? Well, what if we could deploy AI technologies to that concept? Well, the good news is that you can. In a lot of companies today, you have information about your products and services spread out all over in a number of different systems throughout your company. And to consider all the information and to consolidate all that information into one place with a uniform way of selecting and displaying that information can be a huge undertaking for a company. And that undertaking will take lots of time and many, many resources to implement. But what the pandemic has taught us is that we don't necessarily have that time or the people to do something like that. It has to be done quickly and easily. And this is where virtual assistants come in. This AI technology can be deployed fairly quickly and does not require all of your products and services information to be consolidated in one place. You simply have to configure the virtual assistant to go look at that information where it currently resides. Having a virtual assistant available for agents to use has an enormous potential to increase your first call resolution statistics and minimize an agent's handle time because they no longer have to log into multiple systems, keep track of multiple logins, and keep track of multiple associated passwords, multiple methods of how to search for those different types of questions that the agents are asked. Virtual assistants does the searching of the multiple resources where the information resides in seconds and quickly provides that information to the agent, who in turn communicates it to the customer. With virtual assistants' help, agents can handle more and more interactions each day across all interaction types. So where does this all leave us? Well, just like our customers, your staff want options to better fit their personal preferences. Using and having tools like I've talked about in this session will go a long way in helping them feel like they're being treated as a real person, not just a number. These tools will provide agents with access to knowledge at their fingertips that they may not have access to today. And when agents can quickly and easily access information to assist the customer with their problem, it enables the agent to provide that great customer experience that we strive for. In the end, though, it really comes down to the employee. Regardless of whatever technology you implement or deploy, you need to ensure your agents are made aware of and are trained to effectively utilize that technology. Because if they have a good experience using that technology, they portray that same good experience to the customer. And when customers have great experiences, we all know that that is what brings customers back to your company again and again. Thank you for your time today. Again, if you have any questions, please submit them in the Q&A section below.